when the boat comes in.
Episode 4 of When the Boat Comes In. I tell you what, this is one of my favourite episodes from Series 1, Swords and Pick Handles. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Of course, the main theme of this episode is Tom Seaton and how he becomes a scab, how he has to work to support Mary, because of course she's dying of tuberculosis, isn't she? She's got TB. So I kind of see it from Jack's point of view, because of course the whole Seaton family are in uproar because they're a big mining family, and to scab is like a real cardinal sin. But to Jack Ford, he says, well, you'll have to scab because your wife's sick. And I get that. Personally, I get that. You know, what else could he have done? Of course, later on, he did thieve, didn't he? He became a thief. But before that, he decided to scab. I mean, Tom had so many different jobs, didn't he? Gardener, thief. Yeah, funny. But yeah, I kind of see it from Tom's point of view and Jack's point of view. Of course, I get it from the other side as well, because to scab in a mining family, wow, that's something you don't do, isn't it? But still, he did it for the best intentions, didn't he? Because his wife was dying of tuberculosis, and he thought, well, the only way I can save her, the only way I can support her and potentially get her through it, is to get the money that she needs.
But gratitude doesn't pay doctor's bills, only money does that. And I'm gonna get it.
I love this episode, everything about it, and of course I love the job interview that Jack Ford goes on with Horatio Manners. It's a brilliant scene, isn't it? I mean, I love the bit where Horatio, he pulls open the curtains just before Jack arrives. You know, he wants to see what kind of man he is. And I don't think Jack fully knew that he was going for a job. Not at first, anyway, but he cottoned onto it very quickly. And I just love the whole scene. To begin with, of course, Jack is kind of buttering up Manners. He's saying all about his son because they fought with each other in the First World War. And as I was saying in the previous episode, he basically said his last words to Jack Ford, didn't he? Saying he'd like to dine at the Savile and what he would like to have. And then Jack got Manners his son's binoculars, which we spoke about in the previous podcast. Yeah, I mean, I thought that scene was fantastic. It's about 10-12 minutes long, but it's brilliant, isn't it? And Dolly's there as well because she's the parlour maid, so you've got a bit more of that going on. A real ladies' man, Jack Ford, yeah. He certainly loved the ladies, didn't he? And I think later on, Horatio Manners is like, they're your weakness, and he's like, they always will be. So, yeah, I mean, I think they have a really good sort of... To begin with, it's kind of friendly, Horatio and Jack, but then it really turns later on, doesn't it? It gets to the point where Horatio is actually scared of Jack Ford. And I think he says to Lady Caroline that it's taken me a long time to realise this, but I am. Which is surprising, really, because when you first see them together, I'm not saying they're friends, but they get on quite well, don't they? Because they both want to get on in the world. And of course, this interview is all about to see what Jack can get away with. He needs to find out what lies he can get away with and how tough he can be if he needs to be. And Jack, of course, passes with flying colours, and eventually he's offered a job in London, which is worth a hell of a lot of money back then.
You impressed him, and you puzzled him too.
Puzzled him, sir?
You were his equal in strength and courage.
Oh, I doubt that, sir.
He didn't. Had twice as many brains, used them too. What puzzled him was that he knew you would survive the war and he wouldn't. And he was right. Did you see him die?
Yes, sir. I was holding him.
Did he say anything?
Yes, sir. He said, what the hell am I doing here, Sergeant? I said I'd be at the Savile. And then he died.
Was there much pain? No, that's a damn fool question. You'd lie anyway.
I would, sir, but I don't have to. He went very quick, sir.
You have a kind heart as well as a good brain. Did you like the army?
No, sir.
Why not?
People kept on trying to kill me, sir.
I forgot. You never knew it in peacetime, did you? It's all I did know. I was a sergeant too, you know.
Yes, sir?
Didn't my son tell you?
We didn't have all that much time to chat, sir.
12 years. Then I took my discharge. My brother sergeants thought I was mad. I didn't. I went into business, used my savings, and my wits. I am a rich man, Ford. I suppose you knew that.
It seemed likely, sir. You've got a title and your son was always flush.
Go on.
He had money, sir, a lot more than his pay.
You didn't.
Still don't.
I wonder if anybody's watching this who hasn't seen When the Boat Comes In. I hope not, because obviously I reveal a lot of what's going to happen. But as it was originally out in the 70s, I don't really feel the need to say spoilers, you know. But you never know. There might be somebody watching who's never seen it before. What I suggest is you watch the series first, because I will be talking about things out of context as well, you know, because I've seen it 100 times. I love it. It's one of my favourite TV shows. And yeah, of course, it's very sad with Tom Seaton, isn't it? What happens at the end of the episode, because they eventually find out he's a scab. And of course, Jessie is at the school. I mean, I think that's a brilliant scene as well, where the kids, they're all outside and they're shouting scab, aren't they? And even before that, in the classroom, where she tries to confiscate some football cards, I think it is. And he says, I don't have to do what you say because your brother's a scab. And that's when she knows that everybody else knows. And then all the kids, when she leaves school, shout scab at her.
Scab! 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 Scab!
So then she tells her dad about this bill, and she wants to tell the police, but Bill's like, no, don't do that, because I know what will happen if you bring the bobbies in. And he says, get Jack. And I really love that bit where Bill says,
Get Jack.
Jack and I aren't speaking.
Then go on, bloody make him speak.
I think that's brilliant. I really love that. And of course, Jack is the man, isn't he? He likes getting in a scrap, doesn't he, Jack? I mean, he enjoys it. He really enjoys it. It's his nature. And the fact that he can help her out as well. But originally, of course, she goes to the bar, goes to the pub, and he's not... They've fallen out, haven't they? Because basically, Jack has told Jessie that he wants to work for Sir Horatio Manners and be what she calls a boss scab. Yeah. So they've fallen out at this point. But eventually Jack does come through because he says to Jessie, I've never seen you beg before. And then he helps her out and he helps Tom out. And of course there's 4 of them, isn't there, that take on Tom. He's got the medicine. That's why it's so tragic, because he's got the medicine in his hand, isn't he? And then they kick lumps out of him.
Scab. Scab. Get him! Well, Scab, what are you going to say for yourself? Listen, you got it wrong. I had to, me wife's ill. Bloody liar! Let him go.
First one that moves, I'll break his arm. Who's in charge of you 4 heroes?
Me. You'll be sorry if I'm interfering. One of these days.
Not while I've got this. Now, you 2 bugger off and take the Sleeping Beauty with you. You, away with me. Tom.
And then luckily Jack turns up with something in his hand, hits the ringleader, and then that's that really, isn't it? But he takes him back to where Mary is. Of course, she's very ill. She's not very well. She's dying, isn't she? Of course, at this point, you're hoping that she'll get through it. Sadly, that doesn't happen. But at this point, anyway, he takes one of the miners back who was disagreeing, who had a go at Tom. They beat lumps out of him, didn't they? And he can see how sick Mary is. So surely he must understand it. Although I didn't like him at the end because he was like, he basically said, well, she hasn't got much time to live, has she? That's basically what he said, wasn't it? And I thought that was really harsh. Even if it was true, do you say that on the deathbed? You know, like later on she does pass away. I can't remember which episode as yet. But yeah, I thought that was really out of order to say that, to be honest.
Will there be any trouble?
No, Mrs. Seaton. I thought there would be. But I was wrong.
Jessie's downstairs, Mary. I'll send her up.
Jack,
Aye.
there really won't be any trouble.
You've got his word for it.
Where would I rate this in terms of the first series? As I said, it's one of my favourites. It's either my third or second favourite, I think, in the whole series of the first series of When the Boat Comes In. I just think it's got everything in there. You've got the whole thing about Tom being a scab. You've got Jack meeting Horatio Manners for the first time. I think it's a brilliant episode, one of the best. And as I say, I love all the business stuff in When the Boat Comes In as well, because Jack is very clever, but I of course love the working class things that the Seaton family get up to, of course, because they're a mining family, aren't they? And I think it's funny later on in the series where Bill says, we've produced a rare breed. We've produced a teacher, a thief, and a doctor. Yeah, that's very funny, isn't it? And as I said before, I think the first two series of When the Boat Comes In are the best. I like the third one. I like the third one as well, but the first two are my favourites. I'd even say maybe the second one is better. I really love everything to do with the Fitters Union and Jack. And, of course, Matt Headley at the Fitters Union. I love all those episodes. I think they're brilliant. I like the third one as well. I like the third series, but, of course, it gets more into what Jack's doing, doesn't it? The first two series is pretty much all centred around the Seaton family, isn't it, with Jack enterprising. The third series, it starts, near the end of it, it starts to move towards Jack a bit more, doesn't it? And finally, the fourth series is pretty much all about Jack. Yeah, but the first two are definitely my favourites. And when I spoke to Susan Jameson, she was like, yeah, I'm glad you're talking about the first two series, because that's what it was really like for those people back then. And that's why they were so brilliant, the first two series.
It was telling it like it was and what it meant to the people up there. And, you know, it was in their hearts and affected their bodies physically and everything. And it was just incredibly real, I thought.
You've got spirit, Jessie. You're frightening out and you stand by your family. And you're an honest girl. Honest through and through, even when honesty hurts. Jack admires that more than anything.
You think Jack's like that?
I know he's not, and so do you. But that's why he wants you, me bairn. So some of that honesty might rub off on him.
I doubt it, Mum.
Well, it wasn't hard to give it a try. See, that's two Jacks, Jessie. There's a big laughing lad who'd give you the shirt off his back. And there's clever Jack, crafty Jack. Hammer you flat if you got in his way.
You think I could stop him being like that?
Not the way you're going.
I think Sir Horatio Manners was a fantastic character. I mean, I'm not saying I agreed with everything he did, but you understood him, didn't you? You understood that he was all about making money, and for that part, he was brilliant, wasn't he? And I loved how him and Jack sort of... They had kind of a partnership, but then it turned, didn't it? And Jack basically didn't want to work for nothing, did he? I think in another episode he says, like, well, back in the early days, yeah, I'd work for you, I'd get nothing, and you'd have all the money. Where's the fun in that? Which is fair enough, isn't it? And as I say, later on, Horatio gets scared of Jack. Yeah, and of course, I love those episodes later on with Lady Caroline and all that stuff. I mean, that's what's great about it, because it shows you different spectrums of society, doesn't it, when the boat comes in? You've got the working class people, you've got the bosses. It's great that you can see it all come together. You've also got lots of different politics, haven't you, as I've mentioned before. So it's a really good mix, and it gives you a sense of what the era was like.
I think I'm going to offer you a job.
A job, sir?
Don't sound so surprised. It's what you came here for, isn't it?
Just thought I'd let you know as well, the When the Boat Comes In podcast is now available on iTunes, Spotify and Amazon Music. So if you don't want to look at me, you can just listen to it if you like. Or maybe, it's not convenient for you to watch YouTube. But yeah, if you want to just listen to the podcast, it is available on iTunes, Amazon Music and Spotify. And I'd also say, because if you're listening on those platforms and you don't know it's on YouTube, it is on YouTube, the When the Boat Comes In podcast. You can find us on YouTube, obviously. And yeah, we also share a lot of clips from the show.
When the boat comes in.